Sigma males move differently. They're not loud. They don't brag. They don't fight for attention or approval. And that alone makes people curious or uncomfortable. In a world full of noise, a man who stays quiet and sure of himself stands out more than the ones who shout. That's part of the reason why Sigma males often become targets. Not because they want to be, and not because they start conflict, but because their presence disrupts the usual flow. They don't play the same games as everyone else. They move in silence, they think for themselves, and they don't need a crowd to back them up. And that's what gets them noticed. The wrong kind of noticed. You see, in most social circles, whether it's work, school, or even family, there's a way people expect you to act. Be agreeable. Fit in. Go along with what the group says. But the Sigma male doesn't care about any of that. He's polite, but he's not fake. He's respectful, but not submissive. He doesn't ask for permission to be himself, and that challenges people in a way they're not ready for. People start to feel judged just by standing next to him. Not because he says anything, but because his self-control shows them what they're lacking. His silence feels like a mirror. His calm feels like a threat. And the more he sticks to his own path, the more others try to pull him off it, or punish him for staying on it. This isn't about being a victim. Sigma males are far from weak. But even the strongest man can be targeted when people don't understand him, or worse, when they see in him something they can't control. In this video, we're going to break down the 6 brutal reasons why Sigma males get targeted so often. These aren't random. These are patterns that happen again and again. And if you've lived this life, you've seen them all. Let's start with the first reason, one that triggers people almost instantly. Reason number 1, their calm confidence feels like a challenge. Confidence is something most people admire, until it makes them feel small. And that's exactly what happens when someone meets a Sigma male. His confidence isn't loud. He doesn't walk in and try to prove anything. But his energy is solid, unshaken. And for many, that feels like a challenge. People expect confidence to come with a show. A big voice, a flashy style, a need for attention. But Sigma males don't do any of that. They walk in quietly. They speak when they need to. And they carry themselves like they already know who they are. That kind of calm makes certain people nervous. Insecure people. Fake leaders. Loud personalities who rely on being the center of the room. When they see a man who doesn't need approval, doesn't compete, and still commands respect, it shakes them. They start asking, who does he think he is? They wonder, why isn't he trying harder to be liked? And underneath that, there's a fear. What if everyone starts seeing the difference between real confidence and the kind I've been faking? That's why Sigma males get targeted. Not because they did anything wrong, but because their presence highlights the weakness in others. A boss who's used to controlling people gets frustrated when the Sigma male doesn't suck up to him. A social group that thrives on drama gets annoyed when the Sigma male stays neutral and unbothered. His calm makes others feel exposed. And instead of learning from it, they push back. Sometimes it's small things. Passive-aggressive comments. Fake smiles. Exclusion from group plans. Other times it's more direct, trying to start arguments, questioning his motives, or even trying to damage his reputation. It all comes from the same place, discomfort. Because people who build their worth on being loud or dominant feel threatened by someone who doesn't play the same game and still wins. Even in relationships, this shows up. A partner who's used to emotional control might start testing him, trying to get a reaction. But the Sigma male doesn't play into that. His emotional control feels like distance to people who use drama to feel secure. And when they can't shake him, they label him as cold, detached, or arrogant. But the truth is, he's just grounded. He knows who he is. He's not trying to impress. And that kind of quiet strength is something most people don't know how to handle. That's why the targeting begins. It's not about what the Sigma male says, it's about what his calm energy exposes. Insecure people feel smaller. Controlling people feel blocked. And fake confidence starts to fall apart. So they respond the only way they know how, by making him the problem. But he's not the problem. He's the reflection. Reason number 2, they don't play social games. Social circles run on unwritten rules. Smile when you don't mean it. Laugh at jokes that aren't funny. Pretend to agree even when you don't. Sigma males don't do any of that. And that's why they get labeled as difficult, distant, or even disrespectful. But the truth is, they're just honest. They don't see the point in pretending. If they don't like something, they don't fake it. If they disagree, they don't lie to fit in. And if a conversation feels shallow, they don't force themselves to stay in it. That kind of behavior makes them stick out. Not in a loud way, but in a way that people notice. Especially in environments where everyone's playing roles. The Sigma male doesn't smile just to blend in. He doesn't chase popularity. He doesn't need to be liked by everyone. And that alone breaks the social balance. It creates discomfort. People don't like when someone opts out of the unspoken game. It makes them question why they're still playing it. If the Sigma male can walk away from gossip, ignore peer pressure, and stay true to himself, then why can't they? That question hits hard. And instead of answering it, many people get defensive. They decide the Sigma male must be cold, arrogant, rude. Because if he's not those things, then they're the ones who've been fake. This is why you'll often see Sigma males targeted in group settings. Not because they're rude, but because they make others feel exposed without saying a word. They don't participate in small talk. They don't laugh to fit in. They just stay real. And real feels dangerous in fake spaces. Even in professional environments, this causes problems. Sigma males don't play office politics. They don't flatter their boss just to move up. They focus on results, not attention. And that threatens co-workers who use personality over performance to get ahead. The Sigma male doesn't snitch, gossip, or climb ladders the way others do. He takes a direct path, built on skill and integrity. And that makes him a threat. Social games are built on unspoken rules and emotional control. The Sigma male doesn't obey either. That's why the system tries to push him out, or mark him as the outsider. But the truth is, he's not breaking the system. He's just not pretending to believe in it. Reason number 3, their boundaries make others uncomfortable. A lot of people talk about boundaries, but very few actually stick to them. Sigma males are different. They don't just talk about their limits, they live by them. And that makes other people uncomfortable, especially the ones who benefit from crossing lines. Sigma males are calm, respectful, and private. But once a line is crossed, they don't argue. They don't explain. They just shut it down. If someone disrespects their time, energy, or space, they pull back. No drama. No warnings. Just distance. This kind of response confuses people. Most expect pushback or negotiation. They expect the Sigma male to explain himself or make exceptions. But he doesn't. His no means no. His silence means he's done. And that kind of certainty isn't easy to manipulate. People who are used to controlling others with guilt or pressure find themselves blocked. They try to push. He doesn't budge. They try to charm. He doesn't respond. They try to play the victim. He sees through it. And when all those tactics fail, they turn on him. That's when the targeting begins. They call him cold, distant, selfish. They make him the problem, not because he hurt anyone, but because he refused to be used. It's not just manipulative people who react this way. Even well-meaning friends or family might feel upset when a Sigma male puts up a boundary. If he says no to an invitation, turns off his phone for the weekend, or chooses not to explain a personal decision, they take it personally. But for him, it's not personal. It's about peace. Sigma males know what drains them. They know what matters and what doesn't. And they don't waste energy trying to keep people happy who don't respect that. That kind of clarity makes people feel rejected. Even if the Sigma male isn't rejecting them, he's rejecting the behavior. But because most people tie their identity to how others respond, they feel attacked. This is why Sigma males are often misunderstood. Their boundaries are firm but quiet. They don't raise their voice. They don't threaten. They just exit. And that exit is powerful. It sends a message without words. This is my limit. You crossed it. I'm done. People who rely on pushing others past their limits hate this. Because the Sigma male becomes one of the few they can't bend. Can't shake. Can't pull in every direction. That resistance is rare. And anything rare becomes a target. Even in romantic relationships, this shows up. A partner who wants control might test the Sigma's boundaries over time. Try to guilt him into changing. Try to emotionally wear him down. But the more pressure they apply, the more he pulls back. Eventually he walks. And he doesn't come back. That kind of closure stings, especially for someone used to getting their way. The Sigma male's boundaries protect his energy. And people who can't handle those limits either adapt or lash out. That's why Sigma males often find themselves on the receiving end of backlash, judgment, or isolation. Not because they're wrong, but because they're solid. And in a world full of blurred lines, that's seen as a threat. Reason number 4, they reflect others' weaknesses. People don't like mirrors, especially the kind that shows them something they've been avoiding. Sigma males are that kind of mirror. Just by existing the way they do, calm, focused, independent, they reflect the parts of other people that still need work. They don't have to say a word. They don't need to point out flaws. Their life, their habits, their discipline, it all speaks louder than anything they could say. And that quiet strength makes people take a closer look at themselves. That's not always a good feeling. Someone who lacks discipline might feel lazy next to a Sigma male. Someone who depends on others for approval might feel insecure around a man who's completely self-driven. Someone who can't sit in silence might get irritated just by his calm presence. None of this is intentional. Sigma males don't walk around trying to make people feel weak. But their way of life, their peace, their control, their direction, it makes people aware of what they're missing. That's why the targeting starts. The people who don't want to grow feel exposed. The ones who pretend to be confident feel seen. The ones who use noise to cover up emptiness feel small. And instead of saying, maybe I should work on myself, they say, he's too cold. Instead of thinking, he's focused, they say, he's arrogant. Instead of asking, why does this bother me, they say, he thinks he's better than us. It's projection. Not based on truth, but based on discomfort. Even in friendships, this shows up. A Sigma male may be disciplined with his time, focused on his goals, and unwilling to get pulled into nonsense. Friends who aren't on that level may feel judged, even if he says nothing. That's because being near someone with purpose can make people feel lost. And when they feel lost, they react. Sometimes with jokes, sometimes with shade, sometimes by slowly pushing him out. It happens in work settings too. A Sigma male who shows up on time, gets results, and doesn't complain becomes a reminder of what others could be doing. That creates tension. Not because he's showing off, but because he's showing what's possible. And that possibility feels like pressure. Some people respond by stepping up. They feel inspired, motivated. Others respond with hate. They feel small, so they try to make him small too. But it doesn't work. Because Sigma males don't carry ego. They carry purpose. And purpose doesn't get rattled by pettiness. Still, the backlash happens. Because people would rather attack the mirror than face what it shows. And that's why Sigma males get targeted, not for being mean, but for being real. Reason number 5, they operate outside the hierarchy. In almost every group, schools, jobs, friend circles, there's a hierarchy. Someone's at the top. Others follow. There's a system, even if no one talks about it. Sigma males don't care about any of that. They don't chase titles. They don't try to climb social ladders. They don't need to lead, but they'll never blindly follow. They stay on the edge, watching, choosing, moving when it makes sense. And that makes people uncomfortable. Leaders feel challenged. Followers feel confused. Because someone who isn't trying to compete still commands respect. Someone who doesn't need a position still has influence. And that breaks the whole structure. The Sigma male might not speak often, but when he does, people listen. He might not show up to every event, but when he does, people notice. He's not trying to build a tribe, but others follow his example anyway. That kind of quiet power shakes the system. It makes people question the rules. And when someone questions the rules without asking permission, it becomes a problem. So the group turns on him. Not because he did anything wrong, but because he refused to play the game. He becomes the outsider, the threat. The one they say thinks he's different, and they're right. He is different. He's free. Reason number 6, they don't respond to pressure. Most people can be controlled. Not with force, but with pressure. Social pressure. Emotional pressure. Pressure to fit in, agree, or act a certain way. But Sigma males don't bend to that. They don't respond just because someone expects them to. They don't change their minds to make others comfortable. And they don't act out of fear of being judged. That kind of self-control frustrates people. Manipulators hate it because it blocks their tactics. Crowd pleasers hate it because it highlights how much they rely on approval. Even authority figures feel annoyed when someone doesn't jump at their command. Sigma males aren't trying to rebel. They're just focused. If something doesn't align with their values, they walk away. If a group pushes too hard, they pull back. And when they're under pressure, they don't get louder, they get quieter. That silence becomes power. Because while others react fast, the Sigma male thinks. While others fold under pressure, he stands still. And that unshaken energy is impossible to control. This is why people try even harder to break him, to get him to react, to force a response. But the more they try, the more he resists. It becomes a game they can't win. He's not immune to emotion. He just refuses to be ruled by it. And that makes him dangerous to people who depend on chaos to get what they want. So they target him. They spread rumors. They isolate him. They accuse him of being heartless, stubborn, or too private. But none of that breaks him, because pressure doesn't move a man who already knows where he stands. That's the final brutal truth. Sigma males aren't attacked because they're wrong, they're attacked because they don't bend. And in a world full of people trying to shape you into what they want, being unshakable is the biggest threat of all. Being targeted doesn't mean you're weak. Sometimes it means you're the only one standing firm. Sigma males don't get hate for being loud. They get it for being solid. Their quiet strength, their boundaries, their refusal to play games, it all makes people uncomfortable. But that discomfort is a sign. It means you're doing something right. If you've ever felt like the outsider, the threat, or the target, just for being yourself, remember this: the strongest trees take the most wind. Drop a comment if you've felt this. And as always, stay grounded, stay silent, and stay real.